no pressure to be anyone in a certain form or packaging. There's just an atmosphere where you can blossom. And that is all I can do. I handed this white rag and gave it to her. And when she looked up to thank the man, he was just gone, like nowhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Did she keep the towel?
Everyone always asks that. And
I want to ask you too, do you believe in extraterrestrials?
Han Meditations.
All right, guys. I am Han. This is my wife, Kelly. We're here with a special guest. His name is Yam, and we actually met through our mutual friend, Vinay, who's also known as Sky Guardian.
Yes.
He's been a big fan of our channel, watching, and we become friends, texting back and forth. He sends us videos to react to, and we've been talking to him for a while. So thank you for coming on, and thank you for being patient, too, because we've been so busy. Like, I can't even describe how busy we've been. Just moved into a new area. I'm not sure if you're familiar with their whole story, but I was on dialysis for 2 years. I actually just got off a few months ago just by using the power of meditation and the power of your mind and, of course, God. So it's been such a beautiful process. So why don't you maybe just tell everybody about yourself and, you know, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, no, I'm very happy to be here. And I'm so happy to hear that you all are doing better and having gone through such a powerful transition in your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I like to make videos, or at least I used to. I made a lot of videos on mathematics and spirituality, religion and philosophy. And I've really had a lot of transitions in my own life, especially in the last year, coming to so many different realizations about how I want to present myself with this beautiful world that we live in and how I can serve it and attend to it. And it's my goal, and I feel very purposely driven to be of help to the wonderful souls in this universe.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So when did you start making videos and content?
It was 3 or 4 years ago now that I've always been making videos. Like, ever since I was a child, I've been making little videos with my Lego action figures, little battles.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like stop motion?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's cool. I'm into, well, I don't call them toys, but I have a bunch of 6-scale figurines from Hot Toys. So I have like a bunch from Star Wars and Iron Man. I collect mainly Marvel, you know. So, but I do have a Batman and a Joker coming. But yeah, so I like that too. And it's crazy how just starting something like that can transition, and you might not know how it's going to lead you into the next thing. But following that synchronicity and following that highest excitement, even if you don't realize, hey, I'm just doing this for fun right now, and then you transition and really start to follow your purpose. So what was your introduction into spirituality? Were you always a spiritual person, or how were you raised religiously? Like, I just want to know everything about you, because we've been watching your content and binging it, and it's like, it looks like you were just born this way. I mean, I don't really, you know, obviously we're just meeting face to face now, but whenever we watch your content, it comes off that way, that you were just created like this.
Right.
My parents had a hell of a time trying to raise me, that's for sure. I was definitely a rascal, always getting into trouble, and I certainly have not come into a kind of peacefulness early in childhood. That has been a relatively recent thing for me. When I was growing up, my mother, she liked to practice many different things. I mean, we lit the menorah for Hanukkah.
Oh, okay.
We also attended church, Christian church, and there are many Buddha statues around the house. I mean, she just had a passion for culture and tradition, but nothing in particular. And then my dad was like the complement of that, whereas my mother was a bit of everything. My father was nothing. He was just agnostic. And so that gave me such a unique chance to really find my own path. You know, I was faced with everything and nothing, and I could choose between them or beyond them. But interestingly, I grew up very scientifically minded.
Mm.
I had no aspiration for anything spiritual or religious until when I started going to college and university. I wanted to be a mathematician and study the universe through mathematics, but ultimately that led to a kind of spiritual awakening in me.
Mhm.
Wow.
I was gonna ask,
I'll
did you
go ahead.
find that there was like a lot of within the mathematics of the universe, that there was more to it than you thought? Is that how it worked out? Or just
Absolutely.
got it?
Yeah. I realized that there's something special about the power of a language to describe truth,
Mhm.
regardless of what that truth is. There's something very powerful within language itself, a language such as mathematics,
Oh yeah.
which, in my opinion, is like a language of the universe.
Oh,
I agree.
absolutely. And now is kind of like the perfect time for these kind of conversations because I don't know if you've seen it, but the actor Terrence Howard, he was actually just on Joe Rogan's podcast and he was talking about different mathematical equations and how things aren't necessarily linear. And he's going on and on and on. And I'm like, I don't even understand everything he's saying, but it
Yeah.
kind of makes sense what he's saying. So I'm definitely going to look into that. But it's interesting because I kind of had the same experience that you had where I went to college as well, and I had a full scholarship to Ohio State for civil engineering. And I went and I did a 6-month engineering program. I won the program. I went to the school. And then I realized while I was there, I was like, this is not what I want to be doing. And I'd be looking at my professors, and I'm sure they're great people. But I was like thinking, like, I'm smarter than them. And they don't, and they're telling me how they're in debt and they hate this and da 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 da. And I'm like, why would I listen to someone that I don't want to be like in that
Right.
sense? So it really was an awakening for me. And I believe that we have several awakenings throughout our entire life.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure that was a big one for you. So how old are you? Number one, because you look like you can be any age. Like I don't know if you're.
I wanted to ask that
I don't know if
too.
you're 19 or 45.
In this body,
I don't know. I don't know. Because
yeah.
your
I don't know about
demeanor is
that.
so calm and
Right.
collected, but you look so young and healthy.
Well, I've surpassed 22 trips around our sun.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
Got it.
Awesome. So I'm 31 and Kelly's 30. So we actually met together in high school too. And
Yeah.
Oh,
we've
wow.
been together ever since. So
Yes. So you in college learned about with the mathematics of the universe, and you just realized there's more to it than you thought, sounds like. So spiritually wise, what was your first move from there? Did you start reading a particular book? Did you go to the internet? How did the journey go from there?
I think at some point I realized that it is really from this one thing that everything is made, this whole universe, that at the bottom of mathematics is this kind of substance, this ethereal, mystical concept that I called nothing because it really wasn't anything. For example, in math, there's this theory called set theory, which states that everything in the mathematical universe is made up of sets. And what a set is exactly what it sounds like, just a collection. And a collection can contain other collections or can be empty, but everything is just combinations of sets all the way down. But at some point, when you open up a set and you ask what are its elements, and you take those sets and you keep opening them up, you find nothing. So at the bottom of everything is nothing, the empty set. And it's through combinations of that emptiness that you create everythingness. And I thought, this is starting to sound like some kind of Buddhist riddle.
Yeah.
How do you create everything from nothing? So I started studying Buddhism because I felt like maybe the Buddhists were secretly mathematicians. Maybe the Buddha was just a great number magician, and he found these similar truths, just maybe not with pen and paper, but in meditation, for example.
Yeah.
And so I started learning about Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, Jainism, the various isms of the East. And I discovered that, yeah, they all speak of this kind of primordial nothingness. The Buddhists call it nirvana, which literally means that nothingness, that source that we are all striving to come to.
Wow.
Got it. So that's pretty cool because actually, when I was in college, I took an ancient Asian philosophy class, which was my favorite class ever. And I studied all those things, the Eastern philosophies as well, the Taoism and the Buddhism. And that was very, very fun to learn about all of those. And I really enjoyed that as well. And so, where you stand today, do you associate with any one practice? Or are you more open like your mother, or where you stand today?
Well, I feel like both a combination of my father and my mother, where I feel like I am nothing and everything at the same time. I feel like the truth that lay dormant at the heart of all religion is what I feel identified with. And therefore, I say, whomever I am speaking to, if you accept me as part of your tradition, I feel honored to be a Buddhist with you, or a Hindu, or a Christian, or a Muslim. Whatever you see me as, I will happily embrace.
Wow, that's beautiful, because
Cool.
that's kind of how we feel as well, where there's not necessarily one specific religion. We were both raised Christian. I was raised as a Baptist Christian, which is more receptive Protestant, and Kelly was raised as a Catholic.
Mhm.
So, but my parents are both very religious, but my mother is very open, and she would do Reiki practice and meditation. And we were raised doing martial arts. So I'm actually a black belt in Hapkido, and we will train and go to tournaments as well. So it's really an interesting experience where we've been learning about different religions, because we believe that you can find God through everything. Because I really like the concept of Ishvara, where almost everything is God. You can find God in everything, because I believe that God cannot be limited to just one thing, or outside the universe or inside. I believe that God created everything. And as you said, is that oneness. And whenever I was in college, I had a psychedelic experience where I did a psychoactive drug, and I was looking at my hand, and I was like, I could see like the cells in my hand and everything in my hand, and I could see through it. And it was a very strange experience. And I just remember like getting the message that everything is connected in one. And it was very loud and very clear message. And I was like, wow, that makes total sense. And since then, I just went on with my life. And then we started the channel, started meditating and doing the meditation journey. So now I know that I can get those kind of experiences through meditation. So what I want to ask you is, do you meditate, and if you do, what's kind of like a crazy experience you've had during meditation?
Yeah, that's such a beautiful experience. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
And meditation has also been a big part in my journey. Generally, I haven't been that good of a meditator, sitting down and doing a traditional meditation, but I do try to be meditative through karma yoga, the
Oh,
practice of finding oneness with every action, whether you're just reaching out to grab a glass from your cabinet, or opening a door, or even listening or talking to someone. There is a kind of meditation that exists within every moment. And so I try to follow that kind of principle, where each moment can be a kind of meditation, whether you're engaged in an action or not.
wow, that's beautiful, because really the moment is all there is.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're engaged in the moment like that, that's whenever you can truly appreciate the beauty of life. So
Yeah.
it's like we meditate and just sit down and do it. We've been doing it every single day, because we took a little break when we moved and we're busy, but we actually, just started doing it every day again, because it's just such a beautiful experience for us. And I believe everyone does it differently. Some people can use dance as meditation, or like you said, just being, in a sense, is like a true form of meditation as well. But I like to personally just sit down and I get downloads of information, or sometimes crazy things happen to me during the meditation. Like I always tell a story where I kept hearing the word kelpius in my head. And when I was meditating, I'm like, what is this? I don't even know what this is. And I just forgot. I told my cousin I forgot about it. And then next thing you know, a couple months later, he's like, whatever happened with that kelpius? I'm like, I don't know. And I ended up just looking it up. I was like, it's probably some obscure software company. And I looked it up, and it was someone named Johannes Kelpius that lived in Pennsylvania in like the 1500s, that started a movement called Women in the Wilderness, who had a cave called Kelpius Cave, and he was said to have the Philosopher's Stone, and he would meditate in that cave, and he died in the cave meditating. But his whole thing was, it was labeled as the first end of the world cult because doomsday cult in the United States. But in reality, what he was doing was talking about there's going to be a change in the new earth. He was basically talking about the change in the new earth before all of this. People that the new age speakers talk about the new earth. And I don't know if you're familiar with Dolores Cannon or different people where they think that the world is going to change. And we believe that we're in the end times, but we believe there's going to be a beginning. So I just think that's interesting. And do you feel like we're in a pivotal moment in time? What are your thoughts on that?
Wow, that's a wonderful synchronicity. And I think meditation definitely opens up dimensions of life that we can explore, certainly.
Oh, yeah.
It is no doubt that we do live in a very pivotal moment of history. And I definitely look forward to how things are going to evolve. I really think there's almost no way we can predict how things are going to change. But as you said, every ending is also a beginning. So I think this moment will go on and there will be changes that happen.
Absolutely. I want to ask you too, do you believe in extraterrestrials?
Well, I haven't met any personally.
Maybe you have, but you didn't recognize them.
True, yeah.
Never know.
Yeah. So I know Kelly wanted to ask you about one of the things that you were talking about in one of your videos.
Oh, yeah. So we were looking at some of your content, and one interesting thing I saw that come up was your take on the levels of spirituality. I forget exactly how you worded it, but I think it was something like an entry-level spirituality where, kind of all the things that naturally come to someone's mind, the crystals and the astrology, etc. And you mentioned that this entry-level spirituality is, if it's reaffirming what your belief system you already have in yourself, that would be an entry level. But the true deeper spirituality actually basically breaks everything you ever thought about yourself and allows for a full transformation, probably in ways you never thought you would be or become or anything. So I thought that was a really interesting take, and I did like that. And which part of your journey did you find this first, I'm not sure how many you may have had, a big transformation?
Well, ironically, I feel like in retrospect, for me to label some part of spirituality as entry level and another as advanced just shows that I'm very much a beginner because I feel
We
like
all are.
when we do go deeper into our spiritual paths, we start to see the unity and beauty of everything.
Right.
And since I've posted that video, I took it down when I realized that it's really not my duty to point out where people are in their path. And we are all one together in this moment, growing and changing. And there really isn't anything that's beginner versus advanced. There is only change, there is only growth, transformation. That said, of course, there are elements of truth in that. I believe that we should strive to open ourselves up to perspectives that may not be so affirming to our maybe fears and desires, and allow us to challenge those comforts and discomforts and get us into new territory. And I think that aspect of it I definitely still resonate with, but I wouldn't put it against anyone to tell them that they are beginner or advanced. I like what you said. We're all beginners.
Yeah, no, we definitely are, because I believe that we're all beginners, but we're also all advanced beings too. I mean, as you know,
Yes.
there's a duality with
Oh,
how
yeah.
reality works and how everything is going on, because my personal belief is that if you're on this planet at this point in time, you have a gift that it's your duty to share. And you're so humble and modest. And it's just, because I know as being a content creator, it's kind of like there's a lot of stuff. We have over 700 videos. So there's sometimes I put up a video and I'm like cringing at it later. Like, I shouldn't have said this way. I shouldn't have done this way. Or, people are going to get mad. And it's just like, but me personally, I don't even read the comments or anything, because I'm just like, I don't care. Like, that's not even, I believe that you're a new person every instant in time. And you're constantly choosing who you're going to be. The way that I view reality is like how a movie works, and that when you're watching a movie, you're not actually watching movie. You're not watching people move. You're watching pictures in motion. I believe that's how reality works. You're just moving through dimensions, and that movement through the dimensions gives the assimilation of actual time going by. So it actually, you believe that there is time, but there really isn't time.
Right.
So every instant in time, you're choosing who you want to be. So that version of you said what they said, and this is a new version of you. So if I say anything crazy or wild, you have to understand that's not who I am, So I can't be liable or held responsible for what I say or do. No, I'm just kidding. No, because a lot of times you have to be careful not to use it as an excuse. Like, I can do whatever I want, whatever.
Right.
Whenever you have a high vibration, whenever you're being honest with yourself and self-honesty, whether what you said had good intentions or bad, but there's always going to be people that take it in a bad way. So I'm sure everything you've said, you meant it in the right way, but I'm sure there's probably some people out there that loved it and some people that hated it and felt that they were being attacked and judged. But I personally don't ever read the comments at all. I think nobody should, because even if people are praising you and being nice, it can get to your head and you can be like,
Right.
oh, this is,
True.
I'm the best. I'm the best at this. And then if they say one thing wrong, then you're like, oh, I'm the worst. Why am I even doing this? But as you know, you're not doing it for clout or for fame or for money. You're doing it because you really want to help people, and this is what you love to do. It's the same with us. We'd be doing it if no one was watching, and trust me, we were. So we had over 700 videos. We were doing videos and we were like, oh, 10 people saw this. Yeah, that's what's up. Like, that's awesome. We got 10 people watching this. This is great. So, you have over 700,000 on TikTok, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your journey on TikTok and how you got so big on TikTok? Because we've had a couple viral videos on there, but we're nowhere near as you. But how did it start? Do you just do lives, or what kind of content?
Thank you for that. And
Of course.
how I got viral on TikTok, it started with something that I didn't expect. My very first video that went viral was a video where I challenged the traditional translation of the first line of the Hebrew Bible, Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. I was interested in a more, I guess, metaphysical kind of interpretation where we see the events of creation more abstractly. And I think that the translation or interpretation that I arrived at was, um, in the beginning, a discernment was made between existence and non-existence.
Ooh.
And that seemed to capture a lot of people's attention. And every time I made a video kind of like that, it would definitely catch a lot of people's attention in the same way. And I also started exploring other topics like mathematics, and people really liked some of the bigger topics in math about things existing in higher dimensional spaces and whatnot. But it was always a hit or miss. Sometimes the videos I spent the most attention on got the least views.
Yep.
And the
Yep.
videos I spent the least attention on got the most views.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So how many videos did you make until you had that first big viral one?
It wasn't many, it was only about 10 but
Okay.
I was making kind of joke content. I would just think of a funny idea. Like I
Mhm.
think I have my keyboard, which plugs into my computer, but it also has a slot in the back to plug in a mouse. So you can chain your mouse into your keyboard, into your computer. But I thought it'd be funny if I took the cord for the keyboard and then plugged it into itself. And then I would make it look like it turned on. Just silly things like that.
Yeah. That's funny. And how you're how you're talking about like you don't expect it. Like that's how we feel too sometimes. It's like there's times where we have like a crazy, like important message that we know it just got to get out there, and we say it and it gets like no views.
Yeah.
Some silly, goofy video that we're like, this, just throw it up, whatever. And then it gets so many views. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, why are people watching this? I don't know if it's like some conspiracy where they want certain things out there or not. I don't know. There's no way to tell. But it's
You
just
never
that's
know.
just the way it goes. I believe that everything is going to happen perfectly in synchronicity. So you went on your journey of just learning. How do you know all this information? Like, what are you reading? Because I watch your videos and it's like, I mean, your pronunciation is perfect with these words. It's like, how are you even learning this stuff? Like, how? Like, are you practicing this? I mean, is it just coming naturally for you? I mean, is this the stuff that your friends are into? Like, how did you, like, I'm still confused. How did you get into this space?
Like,
You know?
you're basically, at least from us just looking in, you seem like an expert,
Oh,
So
thank
to
you.
reach that level.
Yeah. So I'm like, how would someone go about doing this and learning what you learned?
I think it is a combination of passion, determination, and some naivety.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to be a little bit naive. If you're too humble, then I could never learn any of this. I'll leave it to
Mhm.
Yeah.
people who are smarter than me. So
Mhm.
you have to be a little naive and go, maybe I am smart enough.
Yep.
Or at least willingness to keep going forward and
Yeah.
honor your mistakes and always keep looking for a new perspective. I haven't read many books in my life,
Mm-hmm.
nor do I really have a friend group that shares a similar interest as me, at least not in the real world. Online, I have, of course, many people that I connect with. But for me, the biggest source of understanding has really come from within. And although it's such a cliche thing to say, I spend a lot of time just thinking about the universe and thinking about what makes sense to me. I'll walk around my backyard, scratching my chin, like, why would this universe come to be and the way that it is? And I'll keep pursuing questions like that and answers. And eventually, although it only leads to more and more questions along the way, some understanding does happen. And I like to share what little understanding I do have from that with others.
Wow.
Yeah, we love that perspective because we're the same, and we're willing to basically look at anything and just to see what it is. And there's a bunch of things that we've changed our mind with, and it's all about being open because there's so many things out there to learn, and we're never going to have all the answers. But a really interesting thing for our channels, as we've been just exploring so many different dualities and philosophies, we were doing Hinduism for quite a while. Then we were getting some requests for Islam. So we checked that out and doing many, many reaction videos on different Islam content. it was interesting because we actually grew up in a town where there was a pretty good Muslim population. We had Muslim friends and things, but we just never knew much about the religion aspect, maybe more so the culture. And we really didn't know much at all. And been able to learn a lot through these reaction videos. And it's really been doing well with our channel, which is completely unexpected. Then we never could have expected this. I wonder if have you ever looked into Islam at all?
I know very little,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think that the message of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was so powerful that in Mecca, especially in the Kaaba, there were all these deities from so many different places, and people would always argue about which deity is worthy of worship, who was more powerful, who should you donate, give money to, and it would cause a lot of conflict. But the Prophet, through divine realization, said, hey, what's all this disagreement on the form of that truth, that oneness, which he called Allah? Why don't we get rid of all these forms and just commune with that oneness, where there isn't any form in particular that can represent that absolute truth? And thus a kind of monotheism was born there. And now the Kaaba sits today pretty much empty, and that emptiness is kind of the form itself. And I think that's a very powerful message. But I haven't studied the Quran really, or got to be super immersed with it. But I have learned about many Sufi mystics. I'm sure you've heard of Sufism, which is a mystical branch of Islam, which is all about communing with Allah directly and meditating.
I've
and
actually
doing
never
very-
heard of that.
I don't think
I would recommend
Just gave us a new
looking
topic
into it.
for our video. Because
There's
that's
been great saints from the Sufi tradition, like Rumi, that famous poet, who wrote things like, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop.
Oh, I've
Wow.
heard that.
Other-
I've heard that.
I've never
Yeah.
heard that. That's really profound, because what you're saying resonates with me so well, because I'm the same way, where I never really read information. Like, I'm not someone who just reads self-help books or looks up information. Like, I just know it. I just was born that way. I just know what I know when I need to know it, and that's as far as it goes. It wasn't until recently where people wanted us to react to stuff. We started doing a couple reaction videos. Then we started even learning more about Hinduism, Buddhism, about Islam, Christianity, and just learning about all these religions. But from my perspective, the whole time, my true belief is that there's just one God, and that God is a part of all of us. So we just need to have that self-realization within ourselves to realize and be self-empowered. And I believe that all religions are basically talking about the same entity or the same being. That's not even, I wouldn't necessarily say an entity, because it's like that almost puts it in a box.
Right.
But I just believe it just comes down to oneness anyway. So there's just one God. And if you just worship God, because we have a friend that she's a pagan and she believes a bunch of different gods, and that's fine with us, because we don't judge what anyone believes. But I always tell her, like, look, you can, believe or whatever, but why not just go to the highest level, which is God, and then let that be that? Because even whenever I was going through my health journey, like, you have to understand, like, the doctors told me you will not get better. Like, they told me that time and time again. Like, my kidneys were at 3% GFR. If there's any doctors, anyone that knows what that means, it's bad. Like, they thought I was going to die. And I looked the doctor, like, when she told me, I was like going to pass out. And then I was just like, okay, just took a moment. And then I was like, okay, perfect. And I told her, I was like, I'm going to get better. And she's like, I don't think so. And I was like, yes, I will. I was like, yes, I will. And she's like, no, you won't, like, she's telling me that. And we live in Cleveland, which is home to the Cleveland Clinic, which is I think the #2 best hospital in the country. And it's a really good hospital. So the doctors, they think they know everything, and they're really good. But she was just like, no. And I was like, no, I'm getting better. And she's like, well, I hope so, you know, but I could tell on her face, she's like, this guy's done for, you know? So I had to immediately go into operation and get like a, you know, tube connected to my heart so I could get dialysis, so they take all your blood out and clean it and all this stuff. But the whole time in my mind, I knew I was actually happy and excited because I truly believe that everything that happens is good. Now, before this even happened to me, I was already on YouTube doing my meditations and doing my channel. And I was telling people this. I was telling people everything that happens is good. You can heal from anything. I'm telling people that. And then whenever this happened to me, I was like, oh, perfect. Now I have an opportunity to tell people I believe what I say. So instead of, I could have went the route and said, why did this happen to me?
Yeah.
No, this is the worst thing that has ever happened to me. No, no, not now. You know, I mean, we've lost our job. Like we lost everything because we're self-employed, and I was in the ICU for over 2 weeks and we couldn't work, and Kelly had to be there every day. So it was like the craziest situation. We lost our clients. I mean, it was like really wild situation. But in that, I learned about having inner peace within myself, having no insistence on the outcome or resistance. And to do so, I just became, the way that I manifest is that I become what I want the result to be. So if I want to become healthy, I say to myself, I'm grateful that I am healthy. I believe there's possible in that word, I am. So every day I said, I am healthy. And I wrote a 369. Are you familiar with that method? The 369 method. It was made famous by Tesla, which is actually the first time I got dialysis, the technician was telling me about this. So is this just a coincidence? I don't think so. But this guy came in, he started telling me, hey, there's this thing, it's called the 369 method. You write a message out 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times at night. And then it manifests, because 369 is supposed to be a divine number sequence. So I'd write, I'm grateful my kidneys are fully healthy. Both are fully functional and able to regulate and cleanse toxins easily. My blood pressure is balanced and healthy. I'm grateful that I can now help people by spreading love, light, healing, peace, and harmony. I wrote that thousands upon thousands of times. Thousands, because I was training my subconscious mind and saying, I am healthy. And then whenever I got out the hospital, I was eating better. I was working out. I was doing all the things I would do if I was supremely healthy, because you can't say, oh, I'm healthy, I feel great, but then you're eating McDonald's, but then you're not working out, but then you're using it as an excuse as to why you can't do something. You're short-tempered. I would be happy, smile on my face. Oh, I'm so grateful I'm healthy. I would act like I got the news every single day. I would see it in my mind, the doctor telling me that I was healthy and fully recovered. And the exact words that I would imagine in my mind he said to me one day, like 3 months ago. But up until that moment, they were saying, no, you can't get better. So I say all that to ask you, are you familiar with manifesting? I mean, clearly you have over 700,000 followers on TikTok. So how do you manifest? And do you even think about it? Do you just do what you're doing, acting your highest excitement, or what do you do?
Good question, and such an amazing story. Just before I answer, I have a question for you.
Yeah, of course.
Was there a time where, you went back to your doctor and your doctor was amazed with the result? Did you have that moment where you got to share with them your improvement?
Oh, absolutely. Because what was happening was, over time, I was getting incrementally better. And so they would see my results and be like, oh, you're doing, they would think that they were doing it. So they're like, oh, you're responding well to the dialysis. We don't need to give you this much. So at first I was doing the one that's called hemodialysis. They take your blood out. Then I got another operation where they put a tube in your stomach, in your peritoneal, and it fills up with liquid overnight. So you get huge boxes of liquid to your house that are heavy. And I would have to do it for 9 hours a night. And it's a full setup process. You have to be sterile. You have to be clean. It's a long process of things. And then over time, it just kept getting lower and lower. So they're like, oh yeah, this is good. He's doing good. But you're still not going to get better. Just get on the transplant list, do all this stuff. And they would have meetings with me every month where you get your blood drawn. And they sit with you and they tell you, hey, get on the transplant list. You have to do this. You have to do that. And the whole time they're trying to force me to do it. And, they wanted me to take, this shot, that shot, and I'm like, I'm not doing it. So whatever, I'm gonna heal. So I would just tell him like, yeah, and I would just not do it. And it got to the point where at one point, I'm not sure if if you're familiar with the Course of Miracles. Are you familiar with that book?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
You should definitely look into that. I read the entire book. Basically, it's from someone who channeled basically the true message of Yeshua or Jesus, talking about how, you have the divinity within yourself, you can heal, blah, blah, blah. But Kelly is a Reiki master, so she got really good. Before I even went to the hospital, I looked at her, I said, hey, you're a Reiki healer, so start healing me. And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, dude, just do it. So she was, and I didn't know anything was wrong with me or anything. So she started doing it. Her hands started getting really hot, and she started getting messages. So the next day she was like, I got to take you to the hospital. That's when she took me to urgent care, and my blood pressure was like 275 over like 180 or something. Like it was like over 270. Normal, if people listening, is normal is 120 over 80. So mine was over double what the normal would be.
And you're supposed to go to the ER if it gets
if it's
to
over
180.
if it's over like 160, 170, you're supposed to go to the emergency room. Mine was 100 more than that. And I didn't really have any symptoms. And they couldn't even check it on the machine. It was so high, they had to manually pump it. So after that, I went straight to the hospital, and that's how I knew everything was going on.
Yeah.
But anyways, Kelly was she's a really good Reiki healer. So she started healing me, started getting messages, and I was able to heal from it.
I was just gonna say, do you want to say about the one time where there was a very big major jump?
Oh,
after...
yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I when I start talking, I get excited. Sometimes I lose my track of thought. So what happened during one of her Reiki healings? I felt Jesus, Yeshua, come in and contact me, and Kelly got the same thing. Where Kelly got a message. She's like, yo, he was saying you have to start working with me and working with God. He wasn't coming and saying, hey, I'm God, worship me. It wasn't anything like that. It was more like kind of like a big brother kind of thing, like a spiritual way. Like, hey, this is, you just work this way, let God into your life. And so we started doing that and walking with God. And every day I would envision the light of God within me. And if God is within me, there can only be perfection where God resides. So I'd be walking around with that energy, with that knowledge, knowing that God is within me. And then whenever I went to the doctor one day, Kelly does QHHT too, which is quantum healing hypnosis technique. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but that goes into past life regression. So she does past life regressions, and at the end, it can heal your body and
with your own subconscious mind.
So Kelly did that to me. I saw my past life, whatever. At the end, she called my subconscious mind to do the healing, and it felt like lasers going over my body, like it was like really powerful experience. And then after I got up, I was like, dude, I know for a fact that I don't need the dialysis anymore. So, but still, I was kind of like scared to like just say it. Like, I don't want to go to I wanted the doctors to tell me, hey, we're going to take you off. I didn't want to be the one that's like in charge of my own fate in a weird way, in that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, I'm going to go with the flow. If this is what it's meant to be, that's what it's going to be, but I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. But I got a message from God. He said, obviously, I don't think God is a man or a woman. I'm just saying because I understand masculine energy. But he was saying, hey, go in to the doctors tomorrow, because my appointment was the next day, and tell them that you want to do even less time. And by that point, I was doing a very small amount. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. This is like crazy, but I'm going to do it. And he was like, don't worry, I'll be in the room with you. So from that moment forward, I was like, I had full confidence. I went in there the next day, and like birds are my, spiritual kind of guide or whatever. And I always see hawks and birds of prey. And so we saw two flying together on the way down there. And I was like, all right, I'm good. So I went there and I told the doctors, I'm like, hey, I want to do less time. And when you go in there, it's not just one doctor. It's your doctor, the nurse, your nutritionist. I mean, like the social worker, they're all surrounding you, looking at your blood work, looking at your stuff. So it's kind of like a nerve-wracking experience. Yeah, every month. So I'm telling them that, hey, I want to do less time. And they're all like, oh, yeah, he's feeling brave today. And the doctor is looking at my stats. She's like, well, I guess, like I can't really say no. So, yeah, of course. So after that, they went and did my blood work again because they were worried, like, oh, something's going to happen. And my kidney function had skyrocketed after that. So the next
Wow.
time I went in there, they were like, yo, you don't really need to be on it anymore.
Yeah.
He was like, you're funky. Like, I've never seen this before. Like,
Right.
it was like really like weird. Like, they're like, I've never, this has never happened. Like, ever. It's never happened. They've never, ever seen it happen where you've been on dialysis for that long and then get off. Because usually they give you a grace period of like 6 months, and they're like, maybe your kidneys will recover
Mhm.
and you'll get off. But after that, they diagnose you as chronic kidney disease, which means you're not going to get better. And mine were already at 3%. So there are people it wasn't like, hey, you might need it. It was like, you need it now. So they recovered, and it was like a shocking moment. So sorry that took so long, but that's the
That's all right. I wanted to hear that. That's amazing. I mean, the results speak for themselves, how you were able to manifest, the two of you, with such grace. That's amazing. I'm so happy to hear
Oh,
that.
yeah. So what kind of ways do you go about your manifestation? Do you just
Generally, I feel like at any given moment, whatever is before me is all that I need. And so I try to have that kind of mindset. But with challenges in my life, especially medical ones, for instance, I have been diagnosed with anxiety and depression.
Yep.
And so my doctor put me on an anti-anxiety / depressant at the same time.
Mhm.
And it worked really well for me.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I know that at heart, I wanted to try to get that same effect, just from a change of perspective, of mindset, of lifestyle. And so over the course of a few months, instead of taking 3 pills every day, I'd take 2 and then
Mm.
1. And then just about a week and a half or maybe 2 weeks ago, I said, I'm done taking
Oh,
it.
wow.
And what I'd do in the morning is I'd pretend to take it. I'd hold it up to the light and I'd say, oh Lord, you are my pill today.
Mm.
It is through you that my anxiety and depression will be relieved. And
Wow.
from that alone, I will find happiness through faith. And so I'd hold that empty pill, just nothingness, into my mouth, and I'd get a
Oh,
glass of
wow.
water and I'd take a sip and I do a prayer. And, my friend, she said to me, are you still on them? And I said, no. She said, I haven't noticed a difference at all. And similarly, I also feel just the same as before when I was on a higher dose. And, I definitely couldn't have done that without believing that, as you said, I am already getting what I need. I have,
Wow.
uh,
Wow.
That's a beautiful story, and thank you for sharing that. And obviously, for people watching, these are our own personal stories. So if the doctor tells you to do something, listen to your doctor, but also listen to yourself too, because
mhm.
you don't need to be overly medicated and on a bunch of pills. Because trust me, at one point I was taking 12 different pills. I mean, I had to take 3 pills. They were like this big. They were like phosphorus horse pills.
Yeah,
With
watermelons.
every meal,
Yeah.
at one point, I just walked right in there without looking at my stats or anything. And I was like, I don't need to take this anymore. And they're like, no, you need to take it. You need to take it. Like, your phosphorus was so high. And I'm like, dude, I'm not doing it anymore. And then they looked at my thing and they're like, oh, actually, your phosphorus is super low. Like, stop taking it. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, because I know my body. But also, one of the interesting things that why you said that is because people don't understand the pill's not doing it. You are doing it.
Mm.
So the pill is just a permission slip to give you the permission to be all
Right.
you can be. So people don't understand the placebo effect is real. So
Absolutely.
there have been studies that show people that have severe back pain. They go in, they put them under they put them under anesthesia, and they pretend to do the operation. They don't do it. And they tell the people, when you wake up, you can walk around, it's gonna be perfect, it's not gonna hurt at all. People wake up, there's no pain. It's gone. Like, scientifically proven this happens.
Mhm.
Yep.
So whenever I was going through my journey, I will just look up a couple things here and there, and I don't need to like. I'm the kind of guy I don't need to read a full book. I just need to know something is there, or just an inkling is there, and I'm like, I'm good. So I
Yeah.
saw that, and I was like, yeah, yep, that's all I need. So I would just keep, because people don't understand there's power in lying to yourself in certain situations. You always have to be honest with yourself. But if you don't want to do something and you're lying to yourself to have a perfect outcome, and say, even if you feel bad today, if you lie and say, you know what, I feel great, and have a smile on your face, that's an instance where you can lie to yourself in a positive way, not being dishonest with yourself or anything like that.
Right.
But there's a lot of instances where that helps. So that helped me throughout my journey and really helped manifest that the well-being that I wanted to have. So that was, I'm really grateful you shared that story. And
Yeah, for
yeah,
you to go off completely so recently, that's
Mhm.
really incredible.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
definitely keep doing what you're doing, because you already look like a calm person and a, very calm demeanor, but everybody looks that way, I feel like. And whether if someone's struggling with something or not,
Yeah.
because I've struggled with anxiety, and especially the last years, and meditation really helped me.
Mhm.
And it got to the point where I just had to give up everything to God and just say, look, I'm going to you know, give up the expectation that this has to happen. Or I'm not saying you give up your own power, but you give up the expectation of, hey, this has to happen this way. I was like, hey,
Mhm.
whatever way it happens is synchronicity, and I'm going to let it go and just be in that vibration of being happy and being grateful, and let everything happen naturally. So thank you for sharing that.
For sure. Because I mean, that's like how you mentioned Buddhism, the attachment to things.
Mm,
We
Mhm.
have these expectations, even if it's good expectations, either way, it's an attachment and can bring about the suffering. But when we let go of those attachments, and it's kind of interesting how that kind of lines up to the idea of worshiping God, because I know in people who are spiritual, sometimes they feel like when it comes to worshiping God, it's like, well, okay, but why do I have to give up my power? Why do I have to
Mm.
do everything God believes? And where's that fine line play when compared to manifesting my own desires, compared to, something God may want that I don't necessarily want. I think I don't want, at least. So it's just interesting how those two line up. But honestly, I lost my train of thought.
That's quite all right.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember the beginning, but that's just how my mind works too. How you say
Mhm.
you just start thinking about things. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I lost my train of thought like 5 times while talking. I'm like, I know there's some point I gotta lead to, but it's not there. So what kind of things do you do, like, for your free time whenever you're just having fun? Like, do you game? Do you do anything cool?
I used to play a lot of video games, that's
Mhm.
for sure. Um, I've almost felt like my video game playing has bled into real life, and now I just feel like I'm almost in one,
Mhm.
and that fulfills the need for me. But I like going on walks. I like looking at flowers and being in nature, um, hanging out with my kitties, my 2 kitties, Sandy and Shadow. I love
Oh,
just
nice.
playing with them.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun in just the mundane things in life. I think everything can be really enjoyable
Mm,
if you feel like it is a game, it
mm.
is a play, a lila is the Sanskrit word,
Ooh,
a
nice.
divine play.
Oh, okay. I
I
like that, because
agree.
that's how I feel too. Even about, like, everyone in our life, really, everyone has a role to play, and they're just playing their role. Even if it's
Exactly.
someone that you don't like, you're angry at them, whatever. Someone, you move somewhere in traffic, someone's screaming at you, yelling at you. I believe that's just a part of the play. And I believe that we're all infinite. And I always say we're all infinite in finite reality. So it's like
Mhm.
we're in this physical form, but we're here for a purpose. And
Mhm.
you have so many positive years ahead of you. You're so young. I mean, we're
Mhm.
young too, but you're like, your generation is just like, they get it a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of leaders, and I truly believe that people are incarnating at this time to be leaders, to help, and to just do their part. Because even you being who you are and doing the things you're doing, you are inspiring other people just by being yourself, whether you realize it or not. You don't have to go on and give people all this advice. Even just you going out there, putting your face on video and talking, it's inspirational, because so many people, they want to talk and get crazy and comment and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, they're not doing the things that they want to be doing. That's why they're commenting on people who are doing it, because they feel insecure about it. So it's just, you have to have a respect for creators like yourself. And we truly feel like a love and connection to you. And we're grateful that Vinay even put us together. So we definitely have to do something. We're going to contact you after that. And if you ever need anything, you can always hit us up or talk to us, because we're pretty much introverted people. Like, we're both very introverted. I don't know if you know what your personality type is. Have you ever taken that test?
I think I'm probably also very much more solitary kind of person.
Yeah, my thing is INTJ. Hers is INFJ. There's like this thing with 16 personality types, but we're both very introverted. So, and I don't have like that many friends. Like, I have like my best friend and like some family, but a lot of times the more almost spiritual you get or higher vibration you get, sometimes it's hard to find people that align in the same kind of spectrum that you align in. So that's why I'm grateful to meet you. And we had another guy that Vinay hooked us up with. His name is Neil Bakshi. I don't know if you met him or talked to him.
Yes.
But you have? You've talked to Neil?
I have talked to Neil, yes.
Awesome. We actually just did another podcast with Neil too. So that's going to be coming out this week when this is recorded. We'll probably drop yours next week. So, and yeah, he's got some cool trips coming up too. And I'll actually contact you about that too, if you want to go on one. It'd be great to like have us meet up and do some cool things. So do you have any more questions for us or anything you want to know about us?
Or anything you want to say?
Yeah.
I would love to know, how are you guys feeling? Like, happy and healthy now after so much transition?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was interesting because when Neil first came on our podcast episode was probably November, and he did an angel card reading, and it was very, very nice. And he described everything perfectly that ended up happening just a few months later. So he said that like everything is kind of like a bow and arrow, and all this energy is building up, and it's going to be like an explosion, many, many blessings and miracles, etc. And it's just crazy because in February, so this past February is when they finally said Han was recovered and he officially got off dialysis and everything. And it was, the month of February. And it was exactly the 2-year mark of when it first started, because he first went to the hospital in February 2022. And another crazy thing is, before all this, we planned to get married. Well, kind of more of a small elopement for 2/22/22.
I love that.
Yeah, so we love the date. And then that ended up being while he was in the hospital. He just went a few days before. So we actually ended up getting married on the hospital on that day.
Wow.
Which was pretty
which was
memorable.
Actually the first day that they opened up for COVID.
Yeah.
Because during that time, there was only like one person allowed in the hospital of your family at a time. So 2/22/22 at the Cleveland clinic that I was at was the first day they opened it up so more people could come. So on the exact day of our wedding was the first day that people could actually come to our wedding. So it's like, this was like divine. So throughout the whole process, I was like, cool. I was like, I know what I got to do. And I was fine. And I kind of had to block everything else out, remove all negativity, whether it was, maybe an acquaintance or someone that's just, kind of on the fence. I was like, look, I can't deal with it. Yeah. I got to do my own thing right now. And that's really what we did. And it's just been a journey throughout that process. That's why even like when we first started emailing you, like I apologize because I was like, look, I need some time. I mean, because right whenever I got off, we were like looking at different places, and then we just moved into a place. And then we were doing 2 videos a day on top of our other work with our other clients. And then it was just like, I was like, man, I need to just focus in, like, because our whole day was like consumed with just work. So I was like, I need to just relax. Like, I need to be away from my phone. I need to detox from technology, because we edit all of our videos. We do all of our thumbnails. We do everything because we have a digital marketing company as well. where we do this kind of stuff for other people too. So it's just like, we just needed time to relax. So I was
Yeah.
like so grateful. Like as soon as we did had some time to settle down, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get Neil back. I'm gonna get Neil back on. I'm gonna call Yam and I'm gonna give him my number so he can just contact me directly and we don't have to go back and forth and emailing. So it's just like so cool to meet you, because that's like we've been watching your content. Like it's like people tell me whenever I'm doing my meditations and I'm channeling them, they're like, your voice is like so soothing and so cool. And I'm like, to me, I'm like, I don't see it. Like I kind of get it or whatever, but it's like whenever I listen to your stuff, I'm like, this is the one, dude. This is the voice you want to hear, you know? Like when you're going into meditation, when you just need to relax, dude, this is the voice you need to hear. And you have like tell the, like, I want to know, how did you get your whole, like, where did you come up with the whole live? And you have, I don't know if you're like burning incense, you have the stuff that you do, you're like, how did you find all this stuff? Like, did you just learn this? How did it happen?
It's been a slow journey of incremental changes towards more and more peace. And in my lives, I just try to create exactly that, a space for people to just unfold in. There's no pressure to be anyone in a certain form or packaging. There's just an atmosphere where you can blossom. And that is all I can do. I can never make anyone grow. I can never make anyone change or blossom themselves. But I can provide the soil. I can provide the light. And in that, your potential naturally unfolds. And therefore, it's entirely a process that happens within you. I just become witness to it. And that's my blessing.
So where are you from?
I'm from Canada.
Oh, you're from Canada? You're Canadian?
Yes.
Wow. So you're in Canada right now?
Right now.
Oh, wow. That's
I didn't
that.
know.
Wow. That's wild. I didn't know that you're from Canada. Yeah, I had no idea at all. That's interesting.
I thought maybe you were in California.
Well, I'm on the West Coast. I'm above
Ah.
California.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were maybe in like San Francisco or something. Like, I don't know. I didn't know where you were. I was like, he could be anywhere, So he's everywhere and nowhere, So it was like such a cool thing, like meeting you too. That's awesome. And I know that on your lives, like you don't care what background people have, what religious background they have, you welcome everybody. And it's just, man, we need more people like you. So it's like, I'm not even joking. Like, if you ever want to contact us and just talk or whatever, or you're going through something, you can always text us, because I'm always looking for people and looking for a community of people that really understand it and really get it and can really just, because a lot of people don't understand, a lot of people, they say they understand, but then they don't, or their actions prove that they don't, or, whatever. But it's just, it's so refreshing to see someone who understands it and gets it. And it's just, it's awesome. So
do you do your live, is that every night?
Every day, yeah.
Every day?
At 5 p.m. Pacific time.
And it's TikTok only, or?
I saw him
right
on
now.
YouTube.
It's just on TikTok, but I do upload the recordings to YouTube as well.
And you go for a long time too. Like you're going.
I've been known to
like,
go.
what's the longest live you've done?
I did 10 hours one time.
What, 10 hours?
Yeah.
10 hours. Just, and what were you doing?
Oh, the same thing the whole time, just chatting, asking questions and answers on the universe, life, and everything.
Did you have to keep your phone plugged in for that? I would imagine.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't have a good battery for that.
Oh my gosh, 10 hours is crazy. That's so cool.
Wow. Did you have
That's
lunch?
dedication. Yeah.
Did you have a lunch break?
No,
Oh my God, wow.
no bathroom break.
Wow, 10 hours
right
with no
there.
break is seriously dedication. Like that's why it's like you can tell how you got there, because like your work ethic is, people don't understand how much work it takes. Like this is actual work. Like yes, it's what we love to do. It's fun, but at the end of the day, like there's days where you don't feel like doing it, Like I don't care who you are. There's days where you don't feel like doing it, but you still have to do it because people are relying on you, and it's like, it's your job. So it's just such an awesome thing seeing you do this. And how did you get in contact with Vinay? Like, did he just watch your
So
channel?
he's all a mutual follower,
Mhm.
and he has a gift for connecting people like us. And
He really does. He
Yeah.
really does.
Mhm.
So after this, like, definitely text Vinay and be like, "Yo," because I'm gonna text him too. Because I told him, I was like, I'm gonna do the podcast, but like it was just so busy. I can't even
A lot was going
describe to
on at
you.
once.
Yeah, like so much is we're in a completely new place. We're looking for that.
And the YouTube channel, our YouTube channel really took
Mhm.
off all at this time as well. And
Yeah.
we moved and we recovered. So
Yeah, so I was
Many
actually
things.
grateful. I was like, yeah, we're gonna keep getting the YouTube bigger, then we're gonna have him on because it'll even be better for both of us too.
yeah.
And this time is so much more precious now that we have it. So
Oh yeah,
thank you.
definitely. And it's like, we just, I don't know, it just feels so good. And it's just, so you said that you've never like seen any ETs or anything or had any kind of extraterrestrial experiences.
Craft.
Like you've never seen one or anything
UFO.
like that.
I mean, I feel like we are the aliens
Mhm.
in a sense, and I feel very connected to that. And so perhaps just that kind of perspective alone fulfills that need in my life.
Okay.
Maybe if I had a different perspective, the universe would show me some other signs. But I remember listening to the Raw Contact and the Law of One,
Mhm.
that the universe shows those signs to keep up the mystery in you,
Mhm.
because it's so important that we do believe in more than what we experience just in our finite lifetimes here.
Mhm.
And I think as long as you have that mystery in you, then that is sufficient of an
Oh, that's
experience.
true. Because a lot of people, they start off kind of seeing like ships or something and it spawns a whole new life path,
Right.
their career. And it's like that. I actually saw a UFO. Like the closest one I saw was like like right next to the hospital that I ended up going in. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And we just have like such a crazy, we have so many experiences with ETs, but that's how I started my channel. Is I watched Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind by Stephen
Oh
Greer.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my cousin was like, "Hey, show me this." Showed me this. I mean, it was a whole thing where we went on a trip in the RV trip across the country. It caught on fire. A cop
Wow.
came in the middle of nowhere at the perfect time. I got it on video and sprayed it down. And so we're in Wyoming, like middle of nowhere, and we're in a hotel together. He showed me that documentary, and I was like, "Oh!" And it just, for some reason, it just made sense to me. So I started doing the ET contact meditations, and I started seeing UFOs, and I was like, "This is crazy."
Mhm.
Because, like you, I have a very like left-brained mind. Like my mind is not like, I do poetry and cool stuff like that, but I'm not like super artsy person where just like I'm just very analytical and left brained and mathematical thinking. So when I saw him, I was like, well, this is crazy. Like, I don't know how it's working, but it is. So I would tell Kelly about my meditation experiences. She was like, mine aren't like that. So you should start doing guided meditations. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started doing the guided meditations. The first one I tried to write it, and I was like, this is taking forever. So I was like, let me just try and like say one. So I just said it and it just came out so naturally and fluent that I just started doing them, had over 400 meditations. And then that's how it started. And then we started, when I would make my own ET contact, and then we'd see the more crafts.
Yeah.
So we actually saw one like about a couple weeks ago, the same place where I saw the one that was super close. And we got it on video too. And after this, I'll actually send you a picture of one if you want to see it. So it's like,
I'd be
it's crazy.
interested.
We're going to do a video about it too, but
Yeah.
it's just such a cool experience. And, we don't really know what to make of it. I do believe that there are beings out there. I believe that we have guides and different, maybe connections and ties. Maybe there's genetic bloodlines. Who really knows what's going on? But it's not something anyone should be worried about or constantly thinking about. But I just find it so fascinating and so interesting of an experience. So you've never had any kind of supernatural experiences or anything?
I think the closest that comes to it for me was as a child, I got into a car accident
Mm.
where I was driving with my mother, and we were just borrowing a friend's truck. And
Mhm.
the first time we did that, and the last time we drove through an intersection, and another car was just barreling through the intersection and T-boned our truck. It was a wreck. And I think my mother's head was bleeding. And this being walked towards the car. And I think it was a black man dressed in all white suit. And it was just like an angel of sorts.
Wow.
And he handed this white rag and gave it to her. And she grabbed it and started, caring for herself with it. And when she looked up to thank the man, he was just gone, like nowhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Did she keep the towel?
Everyone always asks that, and I always forget to ask my mom. I should.
Yeah, that's
And
wonderful.
you saw the man?
I don't remember. I was like in a baby seat.
Oh,
I
okay.
do
So your
remember the
mom saw him.
accident, definitely. Yeah.
Wow, that's such an interesting experience because I know that we all have guides. I mean, it's like if you ever like ask for help, it comes in one way or another. Like there's been a lot of times where I just ask for help and I can just tell that you have a lot of help with you and you have a lot of guides and a lot of different connections to different, positive beings. And it's a powerful experience. I can sense that on you. So, and it
Thank
really,
you.
I keep thinking like that you're in Canada. It's just crazy because there's not really a real difference between Americans and Canadians a lot of the time. I mean, there are. I mean, Canadians probably look at Americans like we're nuts, which we are, but
We're eating popcorn by the border.
yeah. But
Right.
but you don't really have an accent, a Canadian accent.
No, and in other places it's a little bit more pronounced, but on the West Coast, I think we talk pretty much the same.
Some
Yeah.
people think where we live, Cleveland, Ohio area has an accent, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't
really hear it.
Yeah,
I think it's normal.
it's known as being a place that doesn't really have an accent.
I guess that's the
So
accent.
yeah, but some
No
people think
accent.
that there is one because we don't have one.
Right.
It's like we just speak proper English,
I
just
guess so.
it's just normal. So
Right.
it's crazy. So you're going live today too?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're definitely gonna tune into that and check you out.
Wow. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
look
is there
forward to your
anything else you want to
presence.
know about us?
I mean, I feel like I've learned so much already. I'm grateful for this opportunity.
No,
I'm
we're
very content.
definitely glad to have you on
Yeah.
and we want to have you back on too and we want to keep in communication with you and because I really truly believe that we're all like going to the top and we're all going to be helping people because that's our purpose. So whichever way we can do that, I'd love to have some kind of event where we can all meet up together. We're planning on meeting up with Neil this year. So we want to definitely meet up with you. And I don't know what part of Canada you're in, but we're right across from Canada in Cleveland.
Right.
Like right across from,
like
with Lake Erie. We're right on the lake. So it's not
Yeah,
even
I'm right
Canada.
on the West Coast on the beach.
Oh, you
Pacific
are?
Ocean.
Oh, wow.
But I
Oh,
just
wow.
got my passport and I'm excited to start traveling the world.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's what's up. So after
Yeah.
this, we'll contact you and give you some information about a possible trip. So
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. And we're sending you love and light, guys. Go ahead and follow him and check out his lives on
Yeah.
TikTok and his YouTube channel, guys.
We'll have
Help
it in
him
the
grow his
description.
channel. Yep.
In the description, all the links
Mhm.
to check out Yam. And really quick, when you said I am, you're saying something about that phrase. It made me think of your name. It kind of just sounds like that naturally.
I am what I am.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
There you
yep.
go.
So wait, where did the name Yamsox come from? I can't believe I didn't ask that.
Well, Yam is 3/4 of my given name, Lyam.
Oh, okay.
And my mother chose Lyam with a Y to make it unique. There's a lot of L's and Y's in my family. And additionally, the socks, I don't know. Yam was taken on TikTok, so I thought it just sounded right. Yamsox, nice 6 letters. So not too much deep meaning, but I'm sure someone could find some.
No, that's
meaning
actually
in that.
because that's kind of how our channel started too with Han Meditations, where my real name is Hanford, but everyone calls me Hank. So it's just the first 3 letters, Han, but it also stands for here and now.
I love
So
that.
I just got to like kind of make the channel about that, but it's interesting because I'm very connected with different things in Egypt and cool kind of symbols and like the Ankh symbol. For some reason, I'm just like connected to it. Then I was thinking the other day, I was like, well, my name is Hank, and it's technically just Ankh with the A at the if you take if you take the H and put it at the end,
Mhm.
you know, the name Hank would be
An
Ankh.
anagram.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, wow, it just came to me one day. I was like, that's interesting. So I believe that all names, like there's some meaning behind it that sometimes we don't even know and we're not
Right.
even aware of. So, but yeah, man, thank you for coming on. We appreciate you. Have a blessed rest of your day. Please stay in contact with us. Seriously,
I
like
shall.
we love you. We're sending you positivity. Thank you for coming on. Seriously, like I can feel my vibration is so much higher right now, and I can
Me
feel
too.
like the love. So thank you, man. We'll see you in the next podcast.
Yeah.
Next time you come on.
See you in
So
the next
Yes.
one.
Much love. Thank you for
All right.
having me.